Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out to be with us today for a very special Top YS Live, focusing on readers advisory for kids and teens. My name is Janeé Jackson-Doering. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Youth Services Consultant for the State Library of Iowa. My contact info is below on your screen. So if you need any help with teen programming, questions about weeding, questions about what to do for youth programs, please contact me, especially for summer reading. A lot of people have contacted me about, hey, I didn't get the resource guide and graphics code. Can you please send it? Please contact me and I will get that to you. So on today's table of contents, I'm going to move this real quick. For our table of contents today, we're going to discuss what is Reader's Advisory. I will share with you the benefits of Reader's Advisory and how it helps your kiddos and teens. And then we'll be hearing from our two special panelists today. Megan from Bondurant Public Library will cover Children's Reader's Advisory at her library, and she'll share with us how she provides that service to youth. And for our teen portion, we will have Dustin from Waterloo Public Library, and he will share his experiences serving teens with Reader's Advisory. And then we'll talk about the reference interview, tips, and resources you can use at your library. And I want to introduce our panelists today. Megan Schnicke, did I say it right, Megan?
It's Shinky, but that's okay. The way you've spelled it is how you would pronounce that. It's I-N.
Megan Schnicke.
Shinky, yep, it's all good. It's a tough one. Thanks, Dad.
Youth Services Librarian from Bondurant Public Library. And Dusty Senbuff. Am I saying it right, Dusty?
Senbuff. We've got some wicked last names.
Senbuff. Thank you both for being panelists for us today. We really appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Agreed.
So I'm going to move my camera real quick. Sorry if it's moving back and forth for you guys. So what is Reader's Advisory? And I'm going to pull up my chat just in case, so that way I can see if any questions or concerns come up. I guess for people who are new to youth librarianship, you can answer in the chat, do you know what Reader's Advisory is? I see yes. Sort of, okay. Maybe, it looks like we got maybe, yes, not sure. Yep, I got a yeppers from Emily, wonderful. Okay, so some of you know what Reader's Advisory is, but there are some that are not unsure. Perfect, we welcome you here. So what is Reader's Advisory? Basically, Reader's Advisory is a service. It is a service that helps readers of all ages find the best enjoyable books that matches their needs, their interests. Sometimes you're matching their reading levels, and there's other factors. Simply put, Reader's Advisory is finding the right book at the right time for your patrons. And the benefits of Reader's Advisory, there are many of them. And I'm just highlighting on a few because of our time. But for the benefits of Reader's Advisory is that you're the go-to person for book suggestions. When kids and teens, when you build a rapport with them, they look at you as the go-to person that knows, oh man, they know what book is in the next series of Captain Underpants, or wow, you know what the next book is in the series is for the Hunger Games. So they see you, the librarian, as the go-to person for book suggestions. And when you provide this service, youth feel seen and they feel comfortable asking you for book suggestions. If you find lots of books for them for a topic that they want to know about or a series they want to know more about, and they're happy and excited with the books that you chose for them, they feel comfortable, they feel seen, they feel heard. they feel like someone really cares about what I want to read about, what I want to know more about. And when you're able to provide that service to kids and teens, they feel comfortable around you. And the more comfortable they become, the more comfortable they'll feel asking you for book suggestions. And another benefit to Reader's Advisory, especially for caregivers, when you provide this service for them, helping them find the best cars and truck books, or the next book in a series, or a book to help them with their reading level for their child, caregivers, they see the library as a trusted source for book recommendations. We want our families to come to the library because they know they can get quality books. They're going to have librarians that can help them find the best information they need. Two other benefits of Reader's Advisory: when you show your enthusiasm for reading and books, that enthusiasm is going to spread to your kids, it's going to spread to your teens, and it's going to get them excited about reading. Because I love seeing librarians that are enthusiastic about the books they chose, or the books they book talk, or the books they recommend. Kids pick up on that energy, they pick up on that enthusiasm. And when you show that enthusiasm, it'll spread to them and they will engage with you and engage in the books that you select for them. And finally, another benefit of Reader's Advisory, it fosters, it encourages a love of reading for fun and enjoyment. I mean, especially during summer reading, you see all these kids come in wanting book recommendations and getting those books and reading for fun. And that is important to instill into children and teens, building that reading for fun and enjoyment. Because this slide here has facts from the National Assessment of Educational Progress report card. It's an assessment that they do. And these are the recent statistics from 2022. 14% is the percentage of students that said they read for fun every day. 31%, that number is the number of students reporting that they never or hardly ever read for fun. So the more book recommendations, the more suggestions we can give kids and teens, the better off they'll be to select a book that they enjoy and hopefully build that love of reading. So I wanted to look at Reader's Advisory in action. So I am going to turn it over to Megan, because Megan will have some experiences to share with us at Bondurant Public Library about how she serves children through Reader's Advisory.
Thanks, Janeé. I'm the youth services librarian at Bondurant, as she stated. I've been in this position for just under 4 years now, and I'm in charge of grades 3 through 12. But I do reader advisory for all ages because I work our circulation desk probably 30 hours a week. So I'm definitely, if I'm not in a program, I'm at the circulation desk planning, multitasking, doing the things. So the most important part of reader's advisory, I think, for any age group is you have to know your library's collection, and not just know the books, but have read them, know the content of them, know what kind of genre they're fitting into, what kind of books will be popular with what crowds. That comes from talking to your young readers as well. Ask those book dragons, formerly known as bookworms, those book dragons, what are they liking about it? Do they only like the Wings of Fire series? Do they just like graphic novels? Really get a good feel for the pulse of your youth in your area. Also do webinars on them. There are publishing companies, school library journal, book lists, all of those offer webinars, sometimes quarterly, sometimes monthly, where you can meet new authors, see what's coming out, what's going to be published, get ARCs of those books so you can read them. And if you do have a part or a say in your collection management, that is going to be so helpful for you. So then you already have all this data in your mind. Oh, there's that great series that just came out about witches. I know she loves witches. And then you can easily direct them from there. I would say probably the best thing to do when someone's like, I don't know what to do for my kid. They hate reading. I don't know what books to read next. Okay, reading level, grade level, interests. What are they interested in? It doesn't have to be fiction. It doesn't have to be nonfiction. It can be graphic novel. It can be audiobook. Be open-minded when thinking about those suggestions and really push that open-mindedness onto the guardians as well. Don't hold off just because it's a graphic novel. That doesn't mean they're not reading. There's actually more words per page on those within the content than in some of the normal books. So audiobooks as well. Maybe they don't like reading for whatever reason. They might have dyslexia. They might just have vision problems. It might be boring for their brains going crazy on the other ways to sit down and read. Try an audiobook. There's nothing wrong with going outside of the box. I think that's where a lot of us get stuck. We feel like we have to recommend, oh, Peter Pan's a classic, or, Treasure Island. It's not. Find out what they like, and then you can go from there. And if you know your collection, it won't be hard at all to go, she likes dragons. I can think of 3 series off the top of my head. Let's go find some. And then try one of the first 3 and see, do you like it? Cool, try another one. So I would say, first and foremost, that's the most important thing. Knowledge. And don't be afraid to say, it's okay to read a graphic novel. It's okay that that's all they want to read. That's just fine. Even the easy graphic novels are a great gateway for those younger readers to get into that genre. And as we know, it's huge. It's not going anywhere. That was all I had besides the links I've already shared, which you guys will get in the document. But there are tons of websites out there. Sometimes, and Dusty will talk about this, when they get older, it gets a little bit more difficult than, oh, he likes monster trucks. I'll pull all the monster truck books. When they get into teens, what should I read next? Goodreads, Common Sense Media. Those are all great websites for you to do a little bit of background work on your end to see, does it fit the family's want, their lifestyle, their need? Also, it might point them in the direction of what's next. They love vampires. What to read after that? They want vampires with little love action. Okay, what to read in that section? So you do kind of have to do some background research, but knowing your collection inside and out is primary for being able to give authentic reader advisory.
That was amazing, Megan. I have a follow-up question for you. What do you do if a child is really shy and they want to ask you what the next best book that they should read? What if they're really shy and they're afraid to ask you?
I would like to pull them away from the desk at that point and go to the area where I know they are. So if they're going to be in the picture book section, or if they're a grade student, get them to that juvenile fiction section, get down to their level, and then go, well, what do you love? Do you love ballerinas? Do you love magic? Do you love funny stories? And then they'll usually tell you whether they're shy or not if you're one-on-one alone, and then you can go from there. And then I just open the book. Do these words look like they're okay? Because sometimes the font can be small and can be overwhelming, intimidating for them. And so right away you can see by their face, you're like, no, let's find one that has some pictures in it. That might help. And just really kind of make it about them. And then I always fluff it up. I love dragons too. I read this great series about dragons. It was so fantastic. I think you're going to like this one. If you don't, I'll find another one, and then remember them. So when they come back in the next time, you're like, how did you like Dragon Masters? Oh, you loved it. I knew you would. There's another one I want to show you. It just came in, and they will remember that. You might even see them at Casey's and they'll be like, there's Miss Megan. She gave me my favorite book.
I love it. And I looks like Sophie has a comment. Do these words look okay is a great question. I love that. I love that. She says that she'll be using that for sure. I love that. And then as far as readers advisory for parents that are unsure, like, I don't know if you should read that graphic novel. What do you how do you connect with them? You do a great job, sounds like you connecting with the children, getting on their level. How do you connect with a parent or a caregiver who's kind of on the fence about, I don't know if you should read this book or that book?
This is where your facts really come into play. So if you do the research and you have the statistics and the facts to give to that adult, they're going to be much more likely to be open to what you're saying. So, and I always start with, I know that you may be worried that that's just pictures and they're only looking at pictures, but actually statistics show that there is more word content in what they're reading, and it's more of a conversation, social communication style than just a regular prose novel. So I think definitely start with statistics, start with saying it's okay to change our minds. As we get better as humans in the literary world, we do better. So we have better style books for more kids. And it's okay to change your mind from the old little readers that you used to get about Dick and Jane. It's different, and that's okay. That's what we want. And kids are visual learners today. And I
Yes, they
always give
are.
this statistic. Like, think about what your children do from the time that they're starting at 3, 4, 5 years old. They're on some kind of electronic device. Even at school, they're working on Chromebooks in kindergarten, on tablets. So their minds are all visual. It's all pictures. What are graphic novels? They're stories told in pictures. So they fit perfectly into their learning and mindset. And it's okay that it's different. We've just moved along as far as things go, and that's okay.
Awesome. Thank you. And we are going to turn to, let me see, let me hop over to my screen. We're going to switch gears and we are going to look at teen readers advisory. And I want to give Dusty or Dustin his opportunity to talk about providing readers advisory for teens.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dusty Sambuff. I use the pronouns he, him. I am the teen librarian at the Waterloo Public Library. I've been in this position for about 1.5 years, but I've been with the library for about 3 years. Previously, I worked at Barnes & Noble as a merchandise manager for 5 years, and before that, I was a manager of a family video, if people still remember those. So I worked there for 7 years. So I have a history of people just coming up to me and saying, I don't know what I want to watch. I don't know what I want to read. So I love giving my favorite recommendations. But for teens in particular, they can be somewhat more of a fickle audience. They don't necessarily have an adult library of things that they've read. They might have a couple titles that they've liked in the past, and they might not necessarily know why they liked that. So the first and foremost thing I bring up is probing questions. What do you absolutely love? Do you have a genre that you love? And I get a lot of people just saying fantasy or just romance. And I say, okay, that's awesome. But that's like a starting point. Do you love for fantasy? Do you like world building? Do you like vampires and dragons? Do you want it to be more based in like our world? Do you want post-apocalyptic? Because that's a whole nother huge beast of a genre itself. And that can sometimes just lead down rabbit holes of, I liked this, and it starts to get them thinking about, why did I like this title or why didn't I? And I personally more like to find out, okay, what did you hate? Because there's always a book or two that you've gone through and you're like, this was just awful. And you don't know why, but it's important to think about that. Like, did you hate that the protagonist was like always so good and there was nothing for them to overcome and you couldn't relate to them because they were perfect and that's how the story moved forward? Or did you hate that the character was like villainous and there was a change in his or her journey that they had to overcome somewhere down the line? Like, do you hate the writing style? Did you hate what happened to a certain character that you really cared about and you wanted something different to happen? Because that means that maybe you were just super invested in that story and you don't want heavier things happen in their stories. So I like as many probing questions as possible. Yeah, and the other one, especially for teen series, what kind of time investment do you want to put into this book? Do you want a one-off book? If it's a winter break or Thanksgiving break or something, they might not want to start a massive series and fall in love with the Wings of Fire series and then all of a sudden find out, oh, I can only read the first 2 books and then I'm going to be away from the library for a couple weeks. Or maybe they want like something to really dig into, something that they've never tried. Like they've read a couple smaller books, they can do that, but they want to build up to the next big thing. Like, is Lord of the Rings too big for me right now? Or should I just stick with The Hobbit, which you should always start with The Hobbit. It's such a good book. I really love it. And it's so short and it's so good. But that's the easy part when teens are coming to you and saying, here's what I like, here's what I don't like. The hardest part for me is when teens don't want to talk to you. I get a lot of teens in my area that can be very boisterous. They're on computers, they're being loud, they are being very active, and that's great because this is a great environment for them to be pushing boundaries and seeing what kind of people they're turning into, talking to other people from other backgrounds. But then I have the other teens that are just kind of like in the stacks. They want to be quiet. They just want to find a book and scurry away. And that's fine. I love people that just want to explore the stacks and see if something jumps out at them. But there are things that we can do that are less intrusive than like shaking their shoulders and saying, what do you want to read? So the best thing that I've come up with I actually got from Megan from the Cedar Falls Public Library, is genre-specific bookmarks that we can put either next to specific authors or just have in front of the teen tables. Teens always want a good bookmark, and it's better than earmarking our books. But if you can suggest other titles while they're reading a genre, they might have like a whole library in front of them that they don't have to necessarily ask about. Maybe they'll start to get braver the more that they come up, and the more that you just say, hi, if you need anything, let me know. Start to genreify your section if you can. We use stickers in our area. We don't necessarily genreify our whole teen department, but we do have specific romance, sci-fi, fantasy, a couple other small tags on our books that just highlight, if you're interested in this, you might be interested in this one. I can share my bookmarks at the end. I don't have them saved as a PDF, but I'll grab them. Let's see. Displays. Displays are the easiest thing. And don't just say, okay, it's Valentine's Day, it's February, we're going to do just romance books. You can mix it up. There's no reason you can't do a romance one in October. Do a creepy romance one. Have a little bit of crossover. And I'm guilty of it too. I just did a Halloween horror one for October, and for November, my big display is game books for International Gaming Week. But I also like to try to mix it up. I don't like to do the exact same thing because they get bored of seeing the same titles. So as much as I can, I like to freshen it up. And the other thing that I'm trying to get much better at is actually displaying things in my section. So especially for some of the Sarah Moss series or any of the trilogy and bigger series, I like to have maybe a box next to those titles that says, if you're reading this, here's the order for it. Because some of the titles don't even state that. Let them figure out, oh, okay, there's 6 books in this series, or if I want to read the prequel series, it's for like 3 or 4. Maybe I want to dip my toes into that first, or maybe I want all 6, and I'm going to have a whole summer of just reading this series. So as much as possible, having things that are visual, that pop out for those teens that are just checking it out, want to see what's available, and aren't necessarily brave enough at that moment to speak up and say, what do I want? And then sections, I'll just go over really fast some resources that I do use. I use Goodreads religiously. My wife, I think, checks it 3 or 4 times a day and just sends me recommendations and stuff. And I do not use the stars. I know that's blasphemous. Some people say, if there's a book and it's a 3.9 or less, I'm not going to read it. Stars can be helpful. It can probably tell you if a book is really bad or has something that people really hate. But I challenge anyone to list their 10 favorite books and see if Goodreads doesn't have one of them below like a 3.9 or a 3.8. There's ones that just speak to you, and maybe they don't speak to everyone else, but I tend to use more of the reviews that are listed on there. The reviews on Goodreads are where the bread and butter of the story comes out. You get so much more of what the book's actually going to be about, the genres, and what people connected to with it. And that's how we can use that information and say, okay, maybe I can't read all of the books in this series right now, but I know that this book's about this book's about that. I can probably point you a little bit better with that. I'm in a couple Facebook reading groups. If you're not, it's super easy to get into. And that's the best way, I think, to find information on what books are actually being promoted right now in other libraries that are blowing up, that might get bigger for you if you need to order up, if you are the selector for your department, or tell your selector that you need this series in your area. So Facebook's an easy one. If you got time to visit your local bookstore, they usually have their finger on the pulse as well for, okay, they're sending down a lot of budgeting for advertising for this series. Maybe it's not going to be a great series, but people might be talking about it more than you would assume just for seeing what the titles are coming up. So I love my local bookstores. I used to work for a bookstore, but it was a big chain, but that's fine. Comb your section as regularly as possible. I know we have no time, but straighten up your sections, look for holes, see what's being checked out. just as best you can. I like to spend time just beautifying my section and making sure all the books are pulled tight and spines are together. But then I look and say, okay, this series is checking out like crazy. Why is Veronica Roth just like falling off of my shelves right now? Do I need to be ordering up more on that? Or is there just one teen that's falling in love? And then talk to your teens, the ones that do want to talk, the ones that don't want to talk. I have been guilty of just being like, what's in your backpack? Come on. I want to know what you're reading right now. Bug them, find out their passions, what they want, what you don't have that you need to be ordering up on. And yeah, I'm the biggest proponent of graphic novels. So anytime they want to read graphic novels or manga, I will put it in their bag. I'll carry it to their car if their parents don't let them. But yeah, that's my part for Teen Readers Advisory. Get them reading.
That was fantastic. I just have I did not realize about the asking teens if they want a one-off story. I did not realize that. That's a great point to bring up, Dusty. Have you experienced that with some teens?
Oh yeah, especially ones that will come up to me and say, I don't read a lot. And so maybe they have that mindset of, I don't want to jump into a big series and then fall off halfway through and give up on it. Like they just want a concise story that they can take in, have a good roller coaster of an arc, and finish up with it at the end. I'm like that most of the time now anyway. I wanna have that fulfilling feeling of finishing a book. I did the Wheel of Time series and it was just exhausting.
And I love how you mentioned to comb through your sections and look for holes. And especially like if you have, you have book 1 and 2 of the Divergent series. Oh my gosh, you don't have 3. That way, oh man, what happened to that copy? Is it checked out or did it get weeded? I like how you mentioned that just to keep your collection fresh and updated. So.
Yeah, and I'm lucky that I get to sit at my desk for most of the day. So at the end of every day, the computer shut down. Most of the teens are out of there for about the last 20 minutes. I've got time to push in my chairs, clean up my desk, and then just spend like 5 minutes looking in my department, tidying up. That's my time just to make sure that my area looks the best.
Absolutely. What about, let's say you mentioned graphic novels, because yes, we know teens and kids love graphic novels. What about mangas? What kind of sources do you go to if you have a teen that says, hey, I've already read Naruto, or hey, I've already read One Punch Man? Where do you look for Reader's Advisory to recommend mangas?
Teens.
What's that?
Other teens. I have a few. So we've got a anime group that's starting up again in January. And I have tasked them with, I've set aside part of my budget every month, and whatever they want up to a certain limit, I'll just order what they want to grow my collection. I know it's going to circulate. I know that they're excited about it. The other website that I use a lot is Crunchyroll. You can get it for free if you are a library. You just have to bug them a couple times. And they're a anime source, but they do have a lot of manga available on their website as well. I use that to see what's popular, see if there's any new series that are coming up. And you can also kind of preview it and see if it's appropriate for your department. Some of them are pretty intense. And I might still order it and keep it in my adult manga section, but I'd still say that's a good source to see if it's up and coming.
Another good manga source is the Graphic Librarian. Sarah from California, she's a district librarian, and she is also a reviewer for School Library Journal. For those of you that have manga and have a manga collection, I would check out the graphiclibrarian.org. She does a really good job of reviewing mangas for middle to high school students. So if you're looking for reviews or something to recommend for those who read manga, I would definitely check out the Graphic Librarian, and I'll put that in the chat as well. And it looks like we've got a couple people that have said things. Cindy says Richland is a very small library. We don't see many teens. Right now, if a teen asks for something, I get it if we don't have it already. And it looks like right now our YA section is mostly expanding by requests. And do you see that too, Megan and Dusty? Do you see that a lot?
I do. In our library, we're constantly, increasing our collection and adding new things in there for the teens as our community grows. We're the fastest growing community in, I think, the state right now, like in the top 3. It's crazy. And so definitely whatever they're asking for, if it's not obscure and 30 years old, we're ordering it. And I know you said Facebook, Dusty, but as we know, Facebook's for old people. And so I know that TikTok's a real controversial subject, but that's what they're looking at. They're looking at TikTok. They're doing the tag book talk. I just got our first book that had it printed on the cover as seen on TikTok. So it's like an official real thing. They're printing on the books now. And that's because that's what they're on. And they're on Instagram, for those of you who don't know, Insta is what they call it. But the parents are who's on Facebook. So a lot of times, do you have a teen? Do you have a middle schooler? When I'm on Facebook, but on TikTok, it's just hashtag book talk. And I'm looking up those videos and I'm watching, and then I'm going and I'm reading those books, even if it's skimming, best I can.
Especially Instagram. Now that's becoming where it's Instagrammers are Instagramming their favorite books, and especially book talk as well. But I love what you guys have mentioned. Sonia says, do any of you have a portion of your collection in other languages? And how do you find out what books should you add to those collections? That's a great question.
So I have a growing selection of French, Spanish, and a few other smaller languages. We actually have a selector, our director, speaks a few other languages. So he does some of the ordering. If it's a super popular book, I'll just get it in Spanish as well, because we have a decent, healthy Spanish population in our area. And we interfile all of them with a spine label signifying a different language. But I just find it kind of hard to promote. I want us to have a better, more robust secondary language library, but I don't know, I sometimes struggle, especially with our teens. I wish we had a better selection for them. So if anybody has suggestions.
I agree. We're building ours all the time. I feel like that other library now, that's growing on demand, right? So as people are asking for books in other language copies, then we're ordering them. We just spine label them as well. They're not separate. They're cataloged, with everybody else. And we primarily order just Spanish. In our community, that is our biggest secondary need for language access. So at this point, that's our biggest section of other language would be Spanish.
Awesome. Thank you. So Megan and Dusty, they both had so much wonderful information, and some of the information that I'm going to share with you, they have mentioned as well. So I'm going to go to my next slide. So we're going to talk about really quickly the reference interview tips and resources. So the reference interview, for those of you that are new to librarianship, the reference interview really gets children or teens to open up about what their interests are, what their passions are. So from what Megan and Dusty have said, they're asking those open-ended questions. So when you're working with a child or a teen, I call these my crucial questions that I like to ask. And they're no particular order. It just depends upon the comfort of the child or the teen. But I ask them, what was the last book you read that you really liked? That really gets the children or teen thinking, and they're able to tell you an answer. And if they have an answer, then you can work with that title that they give you, and then you can find read-alikes similar to the suggestion they gave you. I also like to ask, what did you like or dislike about the book? Because let's face it, there's some books you're really passionate about, or a child is passionate about, and then there's some books they're like, boy, this was a dud. I don't want to read no other books like this again. It's good to have that information, because then you're narrowing down your search. What's your favorite book? Everyone has a favorite book. Everyone has a favorite book that they love to talk about and share. Mine, Salem's Lot, Stephen King, hands down, without question, is my favorite book of all time. And you may have a child or a teen that's willing to tell you what their favorite book is. And great. then you're able to work with that title. And also, what books do you not like to read? There's some kids that don't like Five Nights at Freddy's. There's some teens that don't like Twilight. That's okay. We want to ask those open-ended questions to really get kids and teens thinking about what they want, so we can tailor to the search and tailor to their needs. Sylvia also says, I also ask, what's the last book you didn't like? Yes. If they know that information, yes. And by the way, as we go, please feel free to add questions in the chat or tips that you share that would help other youth librarians. And I'm going to move my camera. I keep moving my camera and I apologize. So once you get that information from the child or the teen, I'd like to explain. I like to tell the child or the caregiver exactly how you're finding that information. So you're at the computer and they tell you the information, and I say to the child, yes, thank you for that information. I'm looking at novelist.com to find a read-alike for you. Kids and parents, they want to know what you're doing, what the steps you took to get to that information. So explain it as clearly as you can and show them. If you're able to twist your monitor around, your computer monitor, show and tell them what you're doing on the computer to find the information that they need. And then once you find that book or that item for your patrons, I like to follow up. To me, that's just really good customer service. And Dusty, I was in the same boat with you. I worked at Blockbuster Video. So having those customer service skills it's very crucial in our profession. So I really like to follow up. Once they find that information, I ask the patron if they found everything they need. That just gives them some reassurance and some clarification that, wow, they really took the time to listen to me and help me find what I was looking for. That's what wonderful customer service and readers advisory is all about. And Alicia Mangan has a comment. She says, I find that it's important to address the child and the teen. Yes. Otherwise, the caregiver may try to dominate the interview. Yes, I agree. And I have that on my next slide. Boy, Alicia, you read my mind. Part of readers advisory and good customer service is just using welcoming body language. A child or a teen may not come to the desk if you're sitting there grumpy and, what do you want? How can I help you? I wouldn't want to be treated that way. So use welcoming body language. Smile. Smiling goes a long way. It kind of calms the children down, and it says that you are there. You're a caring person, that you care. You care about what they want to read. Be approachable and patient. Kids or teens might be nervous to approach the desk. With young children, they're still building their vocabulary, so they may not know the words to tell you, hey, I want a book about trucks, or I want an Elephant and Piggy book. Young children are still building those conversation skills, so we need to be approachable and patient. And this is what Alicia's point was: direct questions to the child, even if the adult is there. The child knows what they want to read. The teen knows what they want to read. So really getting down to their level, as Megan says, ask them those questions, even if the adult is there. Looks like Megan says there's a handout with website links she provided. And yes, they will have several different options for read-alike options or what to read next. Yes, absolutely. And looks like Dara says, maybe this is coming up, but what are some good sources for read-alikes and children juvenile books? Funny, you should mention that. I've got it. So we're going to share some readers advisory resources. And I'm going to move this over here. So what I like to recommend is to empower yourself. You're a resource, so definitely read. Read as much as you can in all areas of interest to your patrons. Read book reviews, articles, and blogs, because the more you're reading and knowing about the books, the more better you'll be at providing a resource for Reader's Advisory for your kids and teens. And like Dusty said, talk with your kids, talk with your teens about what they're reading right now. Get a copy of that book, read about it, read about what makes this book popular. So we do have state library resource books that you can use. We have the Reader's Advisory Guide to Genre Bends for children and young adults. We have the Conducting the Reference Interview books. We have the Graphic Novels Core Collection. You can use these and check them out from the state library. You can check them out for 4 weeks. So if you're needing more Reader's Advisory tools, these books are available to you that we can send to you. And that's via Iowa Shares, by the way. So here are, I'm going to move my camera real quick. I know my camera's all over the place and I have so many links. Here are some Reader's Advisory tools. So these are so many websites that I use when I'm conducting Reader's Advisory. There's the Association for Library Service to Children. They run the Caldecott Medal homepage and also the Newbery Medal homepage. So if you have a patron that's looking for more Newbery Medal books to read, or sometimes I've seen college students who are studying child development, hey, can you find me wordless picture books that have won the Caldecott? Or can you find me just Caldecott winners? You can go to these pages and they will have picture books, honor books for the Caldecott. They'll have a list of Newbery Medal winners, because you might get that question where you have a patron coming in that needs to read a Newbery Medal book or needs to read a Caldecott Medal book. Those links will take you to the information that you need. Underneath, we have fantastic fiction, which I don't know, many of you heard of fantastic fiction? And you can answer in the chat if you have or not. Yes, wonderful. Love it. Yes, love it, love it. Yes, people use it a lot. For those of you that don't know, fantastic fiction, it's a wonderful source. It lists the reading order in a series. They feature a children's fiction section. And for young adult, they have young adult fiction, young adult fantasy, and young adult romance sections. So if you have a teen that is needing a fantasy novel, you can go to this website to look at the different types of fantasy novels based on what they've read. KDL What's Next is a wonderful resource that's created by the Kent District Library in Michigan. This is a wonderful resource because it lists the reading order of a series, and you can use it for children's fiction, children's nonfiction, teens, and adult fiction. And with adult fiction, they have all different types of genres as well. It looks like Christine and Jerry, they said they use KDL all the time. Yes, this is a great resource to use. Has anyone heard of Reading Rockets? readingrockets.org, anybody? And you can answer in the chat if you haven't. Oh, yes, okay. Yes, awesome. Readingrockets.org is a wonderful resource. You can go to their book finder page, and it's readingrockets.org/books-and-authors/books. They have a book finder tool, and you can create your own customized list of fiction and nonfiction books. They have more than 5,000 books on Reading Rockets, and they have it broken down by author, illustrator, age, genre, format, and topic. So you can use this to look for read-alikes, or you can use it to search for diverse titles. And of course, schoollibraryjournal.com, that's like the Bible to me. That is like the holy grail of everything ages 0 to 18. I like School Library Journal, especially for their Good Comics for Kids section, because a lot of people ask, well, what's a good manga? What's a good comic? I love their Good Comics for Kids section. Renee Scott she's a reviewer of manga, and she works for the Brooklyn Public Library, and she writes a lot of manga reviews. So if you're stuck on what kind of manga your teens are wanting to search for, I would definitely take a peek at Good Comics for Kids. They have lots of book reviews, lots of book lists. They also have the Teen Librarian Toolbox, which also features teen reviews. So definitely check out School Library Journal. I have a digital subscription to School Library Journal, and I recommend it. I know some people get the magazines in print. I personally just like the digitized version. So, oh, and we got another comment. Talpa.ai, Alicia says, is fun to play with. It looks very promising, but needs to be vetted like any AI source. Awesome. Thank you. And for teens, I did put together a teen readers advisory tool page. Bookish is great. I don't know if you've heard of Bookish. They are ran by NetGalley. NetGalley.com provides awesome digital copies of advanced reader copies or ARCs. But Bookish is amazing. They have articles, reviews, and lists with the goal of providing more information about books, authors, and genres. And they know their stuff, especially for teens. They will highlight the best popular books that you need to get on your radar each month for teens. So definitely check out Bookish. Brightly, yes, Abby says she uses Brightly all the time. Yes, readbrightly.com is amazing. They have great resources for book suggestions, themed book lists for different ages and stages of youth, from 0 all the way to age 18. And Epic Reads, I don't know if anybody uses Epic Reads, but Epic Reads is ran by HarperCollins, and they highlight new upcoming best-selling teen fiction. Individuals can also view teen fiction genre book lists and the reading order of teen fiction series. And of course, Goodreads. Gotta love Goodreads. But it generates read-alikes based on title searched in their search box. I also put together some articles on Reader's Advisory. These were some really good articles I pulled up. If you get a chance, if you have some downtime, take a peek, read the articles, because these were very, very detailed descriptions of Reader's Advisory and how it helps children and teens. I will say another source that I will put on here before I release the slides, We Need Diverse Books. They are wonderful. We need diversebooks.org/resources. I'm going to type that in the chat. Believe this is it, but I can just type. If you just type in We Need Diverse Books, they have their resources page. Click on that resources tab. There's a section for librarians and educators. They offer read-alikes, and they offer different types of diverse read-alikes if you're looking for items for people that are needing diverse materials. So I would definitely recommend that. And finally, I want to leave with this quote from Betty Rosenberg. She was the first editor of the book Genre Reflecting. Never apologize for your reading tastes. So I love horror all day, every day, 365. Don't apologize for your reading tastes. And I tell children and teens, don't apologize for their reading tastes, because everyone loves a genre. Everyone has a favorite book, and we want to be able to celebrate that. Megan, did you want to share anything? Dustin, did you like to share?
think you covered a ton of resources. There's a ton out there. And I know that there's websites, but don't be scared to just Google what's like this as well if you just need a quick one. And I totally agree. Don't ever make anybody feel bad for it. Celebrate that. My 11-year-old's also a horror-loving book freak. So it's just fine. I just let her read those scary things. It's all good as long as it's still within her grade level. I'm like, it's good enough. Just let it go.
Yes. Destiny.
And your enthusiasm, if you get excited, even if it's sometimes a little bit forced, I still can find something that I can personally get excited about. So any enthusiasm you can give with, oh, you've read this, you have to check this out next. Like, you have to keep going with this one, because your enthusiasm is going to be infectious and they're going to remember that moment a lot more than if you just say, you need to read Hatchet. If you say, Hatchet changed my life and I went into the woods for like 2 weeks after that because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, your enthusiasm will always plead fair.
To use their movie or TV preferences too. I've done that before too. Oh, you don't read? Okay, what's your favorite movie? What kind of movies do you like? Books are even better because you can make the whole picture yourself. So that can be a good way too, to kind of get that going for the non-reader kids out there.
Absolutely. Does anyone out there have any questions or comments they'd like to share for our panelists? Don't be shy. While you think of some questions, our next PopYS Live event will be on Wednesday, December 13th. That will be from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. That will be the best books of 2023, where I will share some of my best books, but I might have some special guests with me to help me share their picks for the best books of 2023. Will your favorite be on the list? Who knows? So definitely register for that on Iowa Learns. The registration is up. And don't forget about our early bird summer reading virtual training. That will be held on November 29th from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So I'm going to go to my next final slide. And I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much for coming today. Oh, Emily has a question. She said, sorry if I missed this, if you mentioned this already. Do you recommend doing our own Reader's Advisory videos on TikTok?
We used to do them, and I will tell you that the city has an issue with TikTok because of our state rules in regards to TikTok. So I will do them on my own personal TikTok account, but not affiliated to the library whatsoever in any way.
And our marketing department has also tampered down on any TikToks, libraries, or personal. I mean, if we do it on our own time, what can they say? But they have advised us not to associate our library with it.
I would recommend talking with your director, looking at your policy, your city's policy before you jump into the TikTok universe, because there may be some things you need to know. That would be my advice. And if you're able to write reviews, that's great. Share those reviews. You can share them on your Instagram or whatever platform you choose. But with TikTok, I would definitely get director approval, look at your policy, and look at your city's policies as well. Sylvia says, if a child asks for an animal book, I ask them if they wanted to have 8 legs, 6, 4, 2, or none. They grin and they answer. Let's see. And Emily says, what about other social media?
I will sometimes on Facebook. I don't usually do reader advisory, but I'll say these were the top books checked out in juvenile fiction in 2022, and the beginning of the new year. I always do those for each of our categories. But otherwise, I do physical displays more so in the library than I do on social media as far as reader advisory. And that's just more of my legal library, knowing that copyright's kind of funny and I don't want to, ruffle any feathers if I can avoid it. So.
And our marketing department in particular likes to promote services that we have and programming, unless doing social media for specific titles or even genres. So we are, using that less for specific reader advisory.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Emily, for the question. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. And here come all the thank yous. All the thank yous are coming in. Round of applause from everyone. We will see you next time. And my thank Thank you to Megan. Thank you to Dusty. Thank you to Amanda for hosting and moderating just in case. Oh, and I see the rounds of applause. They're coming in right now. So
Thank you everyone for all you do.
Appreciate you all. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you guys so much. And you guys have a magical week.
I will.
I like to say magical. So thank you, everyone.
Get you marked off just so everyone knows, and the attendees will get everyone marked off, and you'll get it evaluation and your credit for in I Will Learn. So just be on the lookout. And then the handouts that Megan was referring to as well will be in with that, along with Janeé, your slides as well.
Yes, I will update my slides to add the We Need Diverse books and the graphic librarian as well. So that way everybody has that information.
Okay, super. Thanks again, you guys. That was great. Lots of great info. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And Janeé, I did put one in the chat just so you know that I found last night, late night, waiting for the baby to be born. So if you want to add that one to it as well, it's a good what to read next one. So I put it in our chat today.
What is it called?
It's the what to read next.
What to read next.
But there's another, hold on, I'll pull the chat back up. I just typed it in for you, but now I of course can't remember exactly what it was called. Yep, so let me scroll back up. Yeah, what should I read next.com, specifically just spelled out that way. And then there was another one that I put in the chat too that I found. Which book? So WHICH book.net. I found that one late last night, waiting for the baby to come, and it goes by your mood. So you can put in like what your mood is. Are you feeling, down today? Do you need an upper? And that was kind of fun to play with. So I'll play with it more, but I just found that one as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Have a magical afternoon.
Thanks, you too.
And congratulations again, Megan. Congrats.
Thanks. I feel much too young to be a grandma, but I'll soak it all up.
Enjoy. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.